Hello everybody and welcome to this tutorial. Today I will start going over various arguments that can be passed to tshark command. If you remember from the previous tutorials, one of the very first things that I've taught you is how to select an interface that you want to conduct a live capture on within the graphical user interface of Wireshark. Same thing here. You do need to pick a network interface to capture traffic on. But of course, you don't have them neatly listed anywhere. You can't actually see them unless you pass in the proper arguments to the command, and then the program will list them for you. Therewith, I'm just going to go ahead and type tshark and pass the argument -D. Press enter, and there we go. We have a list of interfaces here that we can conduct a live capture on. Since I'm running in root mode, all of them are displayed and I can actually listen on all of them. If I wasn't in root mode, I wouldn't be able to do this at all, as tshark, Wireshark, they both require either root mode or a user with elevated privileges depending on the system that you are using. I'm talking about Linux, of course. In Windows, as long as you have the default user under the installation, the default user from the normal installation, you should be able to do this without any problems. By the way, tshark command works both in Windows and Linux without any sort of problems. It's pretty much the same, so you shouldn't have any worries there. Anyway, I'm gonna take a look at my interface list, and I know that I'm using the number 9 interface. Just going to go ahead and select it here for you. It's P8, P1. If you're not sure how to check which interface are you using, you can go ahead and you can just go ahead back in terms of videos, and I have explained this. I have explained how to do this in great detail, how you can figure out which interface are you using at the moment, and then how to start a live capture process on it. I will not do that now, but rather instead I will go ahead and immediately start the capture process. So I'm just going to type tshark-I is the argument which you require in order to specify the interface which you want to use, and then just type in the name of the interface, P8, P1, press enter, and this will start a capture session on that particular interface. Now, keynote here. The information displayed here is not saved, and therewith it is less useful to us. We need sort of information that will be saved somewhere in a file which we can review at a later time, or on a different machine where we actually have a graphical interface. Like this, just by performing a live capture mode without any sort of saving process or anything of a kind. Generally, people use it to monitor traffic at a particular point in time when they know that something is going to happen. So, for example, you want to see what is going on with pings. You're pinging yourself, and you know that you're pinging yourself at a very particular point in time. So you just start a live capture process here, apply a capture filter, and then you have a look and see whether it's passing or not, what is going on there, if it's being dropped, if it's reaching you, or something of a kind. Also, if you can spot people using Facebook on your network during work hours or something of a kind, there are better ways to do it, but this is just one of them. Anyway, I will stop the capture process now and show you another thing which you can use with your interfaces. So just gonna go ahead and clear the screen, type in tshark-D once again, press enter, get a list of these interfaces, and notice how next to the name P8, P1 there is a number 9 as well. Also, you can type in tshark-I space 9 and press enter. But I personally wouldn't advise this, primarily because you can have multiple interfaces, for example like this. So you can have tshark-I P8, P1, and then you can have it again, so -I any, any. Press enter, and there you go. It's going to be performing a live capture session on P8, P1, and also on any other available interface. Of course, this command doesn't make much sense now, or it wouldn't make any sense at all in general, primarily because what's the point of specifying one interface and then after it specifying telling the tshark program to actually listen on all of the interfaces as well. What would be a general practice is tshark, oops, tshark dash I p8 p1 and then dash I perhaps on another interface that you have that is running. I don't have any other running interfaces here, but you could list them. For example, if you had a USB wireless card and if you were connected to your if you were connected via your integrated wireless card, network wireless card, you could specify those two interfaces here after the argument I, and it would perform a live capture session on all three of them or just on one of them, depending how you wanted to set it up. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this, clear the screen. Now type in tshark -d. So once again, same command. And once again, I have the list of my interfaces, but instead of actually using the name of an interface, I'm going to have a look. I'm going to take a look at what is right next to it. There's a number 9 here. You can see that they're all enumerated. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And this number 9 can also be used to identify interface P8, P1. So just type in oh, I've gotten that wrong again. So tshark -I and just type in 9. Press enter, and there you go. It's going to start capture. It says capturing on P8, P1. It recognizes that as my wired interface P8, P1, no problems. Although I would not advise doing this, I really wouldn't, primarily because you can specify multiple interfaces to listen on, and when you have 3 or 4, and when you have a longer list of arguments, it's going to be a lot harder to identify them and to see which interface corresponds to which number. Of course, to a computer, it's not a big deal, not a problem, but to you as a user, when you take a look at it, when you take a look at the syntax of the command, it's going to be a lot harder to distinguish what is what. That is why I would definitely recommend using the actual names of the interfaces, primarily because you can tell Wireshark to listen on multiple interfaces via command line as well. So just type in tshark -I P8, P1, which is my wired interface, and then -I again, VLP2S0. Oops, VLP2S0, which is my wireless interface. Press enter, and there we have it. It says capturing on P8, P1, and VLP2S0. So it is capturing on two interfaces. Now imagine if you had like one interface and then a set of filters and then another interface, set of filters, and another interface and a set of other commands that you can apply. It would be very difficult to find your way around if the names of these interfaces were just numbers. It's much simpler to have them as they are here and now, as they are shown by ifconfig command. I'm just gonna go ahead, clear the screen. Another thing to be aware of is that if I type in tshark, it's not, and press enter, it's not gonna start listening on all of my interfaces by default, nor will it start listening on the interface that I'm using at the moment by default. Rather, instead, what it will do is that it will start listening on the first listed interface that we get from tshark-d command. So here we go. It says capturing on Bluetooth 0, and of course there is nothing here, primarily because there is no traffic on Bluetooth 0 interface, network interface. None of whatsoever, as I am not using it at the moment. I'm not transferring any files or anything of a kind. But if I type in tshark-d, you can see that Bluetooth 0 is listed as my first interface here in the list. So by default, if you just type in tshark, the first interface that it will start the capture process on will be the first interface listed here. None of the others. Just felt like mentioning this primarily because a lot of people, they type in tshark and after it they type in a lot of arguments and commands, etc., etc. start the capture process, and then it starts capturing on their first interface, which is most likely something like this, Bluetooth or something of a kind, and there's no traffic of whatsoever. And they start figuring out what is wrong. They start looking at it, and it takes away about 5 minutes on average. So just to save you some time, I wanted to make this fact rather clear. In any case, I bid you farewell, and I hope to see you in the next tutorial.